Welcome to the GAME.minder Report, your weekly source of upcoming gaming news and information. This week I did a crossover interview with Allynn from the Old Man and Bitter Girl podcast.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Allynn here with Old Man and Bitter Girl. I'm here with Jeremy from GAME.minder. As you remember, we talked to him at RTX in 2012.
Rooster Teeth Expo.
Yes, as you can see, I'm wearing my Achievement Hunter t-shirt today.
Very nice.
So Jeremy, thanks for talking to us again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So it's like I said, we talked to you guys first off at RTX, which is absolutely awesome. I love the Yoda mug. By the way, that is awesome.
This was a gift from my kids for Christmas.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've been keeping up with you guys with the app, and you guys started the GAME.minder Report and everything, which I listen to every week.
Nice.
You guys are a great source. So yeah, I really enjoy the show. I love y'all's theme music.
You know, I actually made that for the app. It was like, because, okay, when we first started the app, we had this idea that it was going to be kind of half game. And so we wanted to have lead-in music, and I made it. But it turns out that that was just keeping people from getting into the app. And so we decided to take it out. And then we were just sort of casting around for something to do with it. And then when we started the GAME.minder Report, it was like, oh my God, this couldn't be more perfect. So this will be our theme music for the GAME.minder Report.
Yeah. Like I said, I really do enjoy it. It's very old school. So very cool.
Nice.
So in March, you guys have the GAME.minder Expo coming up. What's all that about?
So, all right. It actually started as a concept when I was at RTX, not surprisingly. You know, I've been to PAX and I've been to GDC, I've been to IndieCade. So these are all sort of the big, you know, gaming events that go on. But none of them are in Cleveland. And then I went to RTX, and RTX had a decidedly smaller feel to it, but was still just as cool as the others. You know, PAX has got like 80,000 people. GDC has got at least, I think, 20 or 30,000 people, and it's like $1,500 if you want to go to all of the stuff. But then I went to RTX, and RTX was smaller. It had less than 5,000 people, but it still had that same feel of a bunch of really cool, like, gamers and media types and all sort of getting together to sort of celebrate these things that they love. And so that was when I first started thinking, you know, maybe I could do something like that in Cleveland. And it was always one of those ideas that was like, I'm going to do this later. You know, I'm going to let GAME.minder keep growing. We started the podcast as sort of like a, you know, cross-promotional, cross-marketing, like, you know, GAME.minder's already about games that are coming up, so why don't we do a show that talks about that too? Like, and then it was just sort of like, all of a sudden one day I was like, you know what? I think I want to get some of these local Cleveland people together. You know, I joined in with a group of indie developers that are local who make their own games. And we did a Game Jam event. I'm not sure how much you know about Global Game Jam, but it's basically a weekend event where a bunch of people get together and they build a game in under 48 hours. And
cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. And they actually built like 17 games. We split up. We had more than 50 people. We split up into little groups, and we built about 17 games under 48 hours and presented them on Sunday. And after that, I was like, you know what? These people need a bigger venue to sort of get together, maybe grow the group a little bit, you know. So the goal for GMX, the GAME.minder Expo, GMX, is that we want to get not only developers, but also sort of some of the local business entrepreneurial types, maybe some investor types, get all those people in a room together, show off the talent, show off what these guys have been doing, maybe do some presentations on what is gaming, why now, all that, and just sort of see what happens. You know, it's very much a test event. We're expecting it to be pretty small this year, but we really want to see what we can get going here in Cleveland.
Very cool. What exactly are going to be? Are there going to be any panels, any events going on at the expo?
Yeah. So a couple different things that we're going to be doing. The first is we're going to have a kind of a main stage, like you would see at, you know, like at RTX, for instance, where they would do, you know, like the live Achievement Hunter stuff and the live Rooster Teeth stuff. We're going to have something similar to that. One of the events we're going to do is actually a live podcast where there's another group that here called #Nerd that does a podcast and some other sort of community stuff. So we're going to do a live sort of crossover event podcast with them. We're also going to have a couple different panels. One is going to be on how you actually run a gaming business. So, you know, a lot of the people who are going to be coming to this are sort of hobby developers. They work a full-time job and then they build games sort of on their free time. And it's going to be kind of a how-to, like if you really want to take it to the next level, what are all the things you're probably not thinking about in terms of, you know how to make a game, you know how to make a fun experience. How do you market that? How do you build that? How do you get funding for that? How do you, grow it beyond just a hobby that you showed off to a couple of your buddies? We're going to have a panel on the legal stuff that you're going to need to know. How do you protect yourself from the point of view of copyright, trademark, privacy concerns? Like, if you collect information on a mobile location basis, how do you protect yourself with that? So, all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to have like a game development workshop that's basically a bunch of the individual developers are going to sort of present their tools of choice. So some of them work in Unity 3D, some of them work in something called Construct 2, some of them work in Game Maker, some of them do 3D art, some of them do 2D art, some of them do music. And they're just going to be able to present what tools they use, how they chose them, why they chose them, and what they do with those tools and how they help them make games. That's what we have confirmed. We have a bunch of other stuff sort of in the works. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm throwing this together on a bit of a crash deadline. Most events like this would take a few months at least to plan. I sort of did what I call throwing my hat over the fence. I decided, you know what? We're doing this. I'm going to pick a date and I'm going to start selling tickets. Once you start selling tickets, you're doing that event because you're taking people's money. And so I said, you know what? Come hell or high water, we are doing this event on March 16th. And so we're still pulling together some resources. We're still trying to find some people. But overall, I think so far we've already gotten a lot of really great interest. And I think it's going to come together. Oh, and then the last thing we're doing is the final thing is we're actually showing a documentary on Saturday night. It's a one-day event. It's going to be start around noon and go through probably about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We're going to show a movie, Minecraft, The Story of Mojang, which is a documentary about the building of the Minecraft game and how it sort of went from this concept and alpha just sort of project to sort of taking over the world, as it were.
Okay, very cool. I remember hearing about that documentary. I think Bernie Burns is a producer on that movie. I think he helped out. So I think they talked about that the Rooster Teeth podcast. So so what do you guys do at GameMinder? What does the app do for gamers?
Sure. Well, GameMinder as a concept came to me, and I think I'll just rehash exactly what I told you when we were at RTX. It came to me because I had Post-it notes all over my monitor. Every time I'd hear about a cool game, I would jot it down, stick it on my monitor. Don't forget about this game. And then every time I would get new information about it, I would like cross out whatever the date they put on it was, and I'd write in the new date. And I had clearly had one of those there has to be a better way moments. And so I was like, you know what, let's try and build an app that's basically almost like a to-do list app, but is specific to video game release dates. And that was sort of where the concept came from. And it's actually a much bigger problem than you might think. There's always sorts of like competing information out there. Oh, this game is definitely going to be released on December 15th. Well, no, Best Buy says it's coming on December 15th or 14th. And then trying to wade through all that information and make sure that you know the correct thing and then present it to people is a pretty big problem set, as it were. And so we've been, constantly revising the app to do that more effectively. We just released a really big update at the end of November, and we've been still sort of working on digging out from that. We probably should have tested a little bit more extensively before we actually pulled the trigger, but I was getting antsy. We had aimed to get it out by the end of the summer, and it just was dragging and dragging and dragging. And so I did another one of those hat over the fence moments. I was like, you know what? We're putting this out. We can fix it as we go, but I need to get this new system out. I want to start getting the ability to do international release dates, which is something that was requested for so long. I wanted to start getting the ability to have new platforms so that you can now track just the game. And here's a great example with the PlayStation 4 stuff that came out last week. The Witness is a game that is coming out for, I think it's iOS and Android, but then it added PlayStation 4. We wanted to have the ability to add a new platform and have people who were tracking it already get notified about that without having to actually go in and manually look for it, which you couldn't do on the old system. So that was a lot of why we wanted to get it out and get it built. A lot of what we've been doing over the last month is just refining and getting that clean. And now we're finally sort of back to full operating capacity just within the last 2 weeks. So which is good because now we got all this news from the PlayStation 4 coming in. We added the new platform. We've added a bunch of new games. So, this is going to be a big year, I think, for the whole GameMinder concept, with new hardware coming, all the new games that come with the new hardware. We really wanted to be ready to tackle all of these new platforms in a way that the old system just wasn't built to handle.
Yeah. Plus, I think we can almost guarantee the 720 finally be announced in April. I think Microsoft just announced that they were going to have an event in April. So
Yeah, I think April
now we have
20th
the
was what I
720 to
saw.
look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the PlayStation 4, I think in a lot of ways ended up being pretty basic of an
Hmm.
upgrade. I think a lot of it is sort of a software upgrade. I mean, yes, it does get a bunch of cool new hardware going on, but a lot of it is this sort of new social sharing stuff and, the ability to sort of pause and resume and whatever. I think a lot of people were expecting something a little bit more innovative, like the way that the Wii U is
Right.
doing this thing with the new screen and all this other kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see which path the next Xbox takes. Is it going to go more like a Wii U and do something really technically innovative, or is it going to be more like the PlayStation, where it's going to be a an upgrade to be sure, but really more of just a technical upgrade so that the box can now just do more things technically. I'm not sure which one I'd be interested in, but it'll be interesting to see. Now that in this particular generation, Xbox is the last out of the gate, whereas in the last generation, the 360 was the first one out of the gate.
Yeah.
So they sort of jumped ahead of PlayStation and Nintendo, but this time now they get the sort of benefit of being the last one to announce. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
Yeah, for sure. GameMinder is just a small part of what you guys do over at Handle. You guys also make games, you make other apps. The game Uncle Slam is y'all's kind of mainstay, isn't it?
It is our well, it's funny you mentioned that. It is actually our real mainstay is our probably to most people our most boring app. It's just called Reminder. It's sort of
Huh.
a cousin of GameMinder. We actually just sold the 500,000th copy of Reminder just yesterday. Which is a pretty big milestone. We're actually going to be announcing that sort of this week. Like, thanks, 500,000. We've sold 500,000 of this app. And so that one is really kind of our bread and butter. Uncle Slam is our gaming bread and butter, because that app isn't one that you really, you don't. There's not a lot of people writing fan sites about a to-do list app,
Yeah.
But Uncle Slam, yeah, Uncle Slam is our game. It's a presidential boxing game.
Hmm.
It's sort of, it's actually kind of still chugging along. We kind of figured after the election it would kind of drop. We did an election pack
Yeah.
that included both Obama and Romney, so you could actually have them sort of duke it out to see who was going to win. Contrary to the way that reality worked out, our app, based on the number of wins, just the number of wins, we actually had Romney winning by 2 points. That did not bear it out in the actual results, but
Yeah.
but it was a fun little diversion, I think, especially that week leading right up. I think there was a lot of pent up frustration. If you were a Democrat, you really wanted to punch Romney in the face. If you're a Republican, you really wanted to punch Obama in the face. So I think it worked out. It was a fun little diversion that I think was a much needed way to sort of get out some of those political frustrations. But even since the election, we've seen the downloads keep chugging in the upward direction. So
Mhm.
people seem to like it.
Very cool. So, do you guys have anything else coming out from Handle, or is it my Game Miner is the main focus of the attention right now?
Yeah, well, we've always had lots of ideas for apps, and the question really becomes, how do you pick and choose? Like, which one is it that is really going to be the next big thing, and which one is just something that's a little bit of a diversion? We do have a new project in the works that I cannot really talk about yet.
Okay.
It is a game, so we will be working on a new game throughout the course of this year. Um, and that'll probably be our only new project this year. Most of what we've been doing, we've been very head down on GameMinder, the new system, the new backend, the new iOS app, the new Android app. We're working on actually an Ouya app for it.
Okay.
For those who don't know, the Ouya is a sort of an also ran console that's trying to be a little disruptive in the triumvirate of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. It's basically a brand new independent console that is gonna be really cheap and basically uses Android. So if
Yeah.
you write an Android app, you can sort of port it over. And since we have an Android version of GameMinder, and because it is a gaming platform, we're actually going to release an Ouya client for GameMinder, so you can actually track and see the games that you want to play, and then buy them, the Ouya games, right on the device. On your TV. So that's what we've been working on a lot recently is it just expanding GameMinder even more. We've got, like I said, we've got the website, we got the two apps. We're going to add the Ouya app. And and then we'll just sort of see where it goes from there. Other than that, we've been maintaining Reminder, we've been maintaining Uncle Slam. We did just release an update to that just recently, which was basically just bug fixes.
Mhm.
And then we have our app Couplet, which takes pictures from both cameras at the same time, and that's going to get a nice little update probably within the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're not really aiming for a lot of new projects. We're probably just going to tackle one big new project this year. So.
Oh, very cool. So I want to take this last little bit of time we got with you just to talk about gaming in general.
Yeah.
I don't have too many opportunities to actually sit down and talk with another gamer on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're primarily a music podcast, so gaming is just a little bit of what we do here at the Old Man and Beer Girl. So I just want to ask you a few gaming questions in general,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
By all means.
So how did I start this? How did you get into gaming in the first place?
Sure. Well, I actually had a bit of kind of two separate moments of my gaming history. My first was when I was a kid. I had a Nintendo Entertainment System, and I would play all of the classics. The original Super Mario. I was a diehard Mega Man guy. Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2 were probably, I played those to death. And obviously original Zelda. So I have very fond memories of those from way back when. But then I kind of skipped a chunk. Like I never had a Super Nintendo. I never had a Genesis. I never had any of those sort of middle ones. I went through high school. I went away to college, and I sort of dropped out of college and came home. And that was when I sort of came back to gaming. The next console that I actually got was a Nintendo 64. And I played like the Rebel Squadron, or what is it, Rogue Squadron games, GoldenEye. And so that was when I really was kind of like, oh, you know what? I really did enjoy playing these games back in the day. My roommate had a PlayStation 1. I had a Nintendo 64. And that was where I sort of started to get back into those games. But the thing that really twisted at that point was when my buddy invited me over to play Halo. He was like, dude, I just got this Xbox. There's this game called Halo. You got to play it. And it was me and three other guys, and he brought us over, and we put this Xbox on, and we started playing, and it was just like, what is this thing?
Right.
I had played maybe a little bit of Unreal Tournament. Most of my first-person shooter experience at that point was GoldenEye, and Halo was very much like, this is the future right now, especially with the 4 players. When we got this first time, we got 2 Xboxes with 2 TVs, and we played the sort of LAN party version. It was just like, I love this. And that was kind of like all she wrote. I went out and got an Xbox the next day. I think I actually bought the Spider-Man game, which was a huge mistake.
Oh, wow.
Because I had to have a second game because I couldn't just play Halo. But yeah, so then I play, that was kind of it. I moved to Milwaukee, and I used GameSpy to actually do the LAN. I don't know if you ever did this, but before Xbox Live was a thing, you could actually sort of trick your Xbox into thinking it was on the same network as your buddy who was in another city and play online that way. There was no voice chat at that point. You used GameSpy to find and match up with people. But I mean, that was it. We played Halo, and we played Halo, and we played Halo. Halo 2, same story. And, that was really it. It's funny because obviously there's a good crossover there with Rooster Teeth because that's the whole red versus blue thing. But Halo really was it. It wasn't until Halo that I started to consider myself, self-identify as a gamer, because it was like, oh yeah, games are just, I play games. Yeah, sure, I played Zelda. Yeah, sure, I played whatever. But with Halo was when I really started to get hardcore about it. It was like I'd work my day, I'd come home, I would camp out in front of the TV at 9 o'clock at night and play till 3 in the morning every single day. And that was when I was like, all right, I guess I'm a gamer now.
Yeah, like definitely the Halo thing was a big thing for me. It didn't get me into gaming. Well, actually, it was Red versus Blue that got me into Halo. I wasn't a very big Halo fan at all, or an Xbox fan. To be honest, I was a Nintendo kid my entire life. I had my brother had the NES. I got a Super Nintendo, got the 64. And then from 64, I went to PlayStation 2. And then my friend, I watched season 1 of Red versus Blue. I was like, whoa, you can do that with a game. That's pretty cool. So and then I finally played Halo. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest game of all time.
Yeah.
So and now I've been a Halo guy and a Microsoft person for about 8 years now, since I watched that first season of Red vs. Blue. So, so do you have a favorite game of all time?
Oof. Oh man, you see, well, it really depends on how you ask, because I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt the most addictive game, the game that I've probably put the more hours into, next to Halo, because I think Halo in a lot of ways has just been the game I put more time into than anything. But the most addictive game I've ever played is the Civilization series.
Okay.
It's a very different experience, obviously, than a first person shooter. It's a strategy thing. But my wife actually bought me that for my blue and white Mac G3. She bought me Civilization 3 for a birthday one year, and I had never really played a strategy game like that before. And I just literally, I mean, there's all kinds of jokes out there about the, oh, just one more turn, just one more turn. But Civilization series is really, you just play it and play it and play it. And I just recently finally bought Civilization 5, and I've been doing that. It's taken me right back, because I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'll play it until midnight when I should go to bed, and then I'm like, that's okay. 12:30, I'll be fine. Oh,
Right.
yeah, it's just as long as I go to bed by 1:30, everything will be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then 2 o'clock rolls around, and it's like, oh, what did I do? And so that sort of strategic thinking is probably one of my favorites. To go retro, I would have to say the original Zelda. I mean,
Oh,
that's a game, or probably split between the original Zelda and Ocarina of Time. Those are two games that I've replayed on several occasions. When I got the GameCube and I got the Zelda. Was it the GameCube or was it the Wii? One of them came. One of
Are
them.
you talking
Go ahead.
the collector's edition or the Ocarina of Time special edition?
There was one that came with Ocarina of Time was a 64, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it was the GameCube. I got whatever the GameCube Zelda was that came with the Ocarina of Time and an extra disc that had like all the old games on it.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that's the collector's edition. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Exactly. And so I played through all of the ones on that. I still haven't beaten Majora's Mask. I've played it, but I've never actually beaten it. That one was a little tricky.
It's great.
It's a great game, but it was a little tricky.
You got
And
Mass had to really stand a chance at the end.
yeah, it was one of those games where I ended up sort of breaking down and looking up kind of how to do it, because it was just so. I mean, I'm a sci-fi guy, so time travel is not something that is foreign to me, but the intricacies of making sure all the little pieces fit together in the right way as the 3 days sort of progressed, it was too complicated for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, but I would say I've replayed Ocarina of Time probably 5 or 6 times, and I love it every time. And so that if I had to pick one above all others, that would probably be it.
Okay, yeah, I love that you mentioned Ocarina of Time, because that's my favorite game ever of all time. I can go back and play that game anytime, in any way, either on the 64 or the GameCube version. I can play it anytime.
Did you play all of the previous Zelda games too?
Previous Zelda games too. Yeah, I can go back and play through those. Those are I'm a Zelda kid. My favorite franchise is Zelda and everything, but that godforsaken water temple, man, I tell you.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say this, when you talk about Nintendo, like I haven't actually committed to getting a Wii U yet. Last generation, I got all three. I got the 360, I got the PS3, and I got the Wii. On the Wii, I played the first Mario game, the Zelda game, and then it went up on a shelf, and I haven't touched it since. And I don't know that I can do that again.
Yeah, I actually sold my Wii to get my 360, because I bought Twilight Princess on the Wii, and then I bought it on the GameCube, and I played it on the GameCube more than I played it on the Wii. So I have no reason to own this system, so I'm getting rid of it. So it was that kind of thing. With the Wii U, they just announced that they're developing the new Zelda game for the Wii U, and that they're doing an HD remake of the Wind Waker, which wasn't really my favorite game of the franchise, but so
it was a lot of sailing.
What's that?
There's a lot of sailing in that game.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing here's my beef with Wind Waker. When the GameCube was announced, they started sending out screenshots of developmental stuff, and the Zelda one they had, Link was an adult. The graphics look great, so I was like, I'm pre-ordering this game as soon as they announced it, which I did. And then they announced the Wind Waker. I was like, what's with the toon cell shading, and why is Link a little kid that looks like an anime character? And I was like, I'm not going to buy this game anymore. I was severely disappointed with it. So that's my beef with the Wind Waker anyway.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. Especially when you compare it to the way Ocarina of Time was. They did take it in such a drastic. I mean, from a story point of view, I thought the story was really well executed, but I do think that there was just something about that game that it was not the right way to follow up from where they had been, you know. And
Exactly.
I think that you know, I mean, Twilight Princess, I think, was getting them back to a better place, but
Yeah.
yeah, still wasn't quite as good.
Yeah. It was much better than Wind Waker, but
Yeah,
it still didn't it still wasn't Ocarina
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
What are you looking forward to this year as far as games go?
Oh man, hands down, top game that I'm looking forward to is Bioshock Infinite.
Yes.
No, I didn't even have to think about it. You know, I'm actually replaying both of the previous Bioshocks. I had bought them and traded them and whatever. I went ahead and rebought them as digital downloads about a month ago because I was just the more I read about Bioshock Infinite, the more I watched like the trailers. I was like, you know what? I loved playing in that world. I went ahead and just bought them again, and I'm replaying through them now. And it's just I cannot wait to see how. I mean, because obviously it's going to be similar, but it is going to be different because it's going to be out in the sky instead of underwater, and it's going to be a different time period. I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah, the everything I've seen from it so far, it looks amazing, for sure. What are you playing right now? Besides Bioshock, are you just playing primarily Bioshock right now?
I'm sort of splitting my time right now. I've been playing, like I said, the Bioshock games. I've been playing Civilization 5.
Hmm.
And I still have Halo 4. I keep meaning to get back into it. I played it to death as soon as it came out. Me and my buddy Jim, who does the podcast with me, we played
Yeah.
through all the Spartan Ops missions. And then the new year hit, and we just haven't gotten back into it.
Yeah.
I was gonna play Colonial Marines. I even
Oh,
pre-ordered
yeah.
it. But then I returned it when I read all the
I heard about
reviews.
that. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where right now I'm really just mostly playing games that are not brand new. I've been playing, like I said, Civilization and the Bioshock games. I'm trying to think what else. You know what? Let's look in my GAME.minder and see what the games are that I just recently got, so I can see if I
uh,
am what else I'm
Pulling
playing.
the app.
We'll pull up the app and see what we got going on here. I can tell
Yeah.
you what else I'm looking forward to because I've got them all right here. So let's see here. Well, if we want to talk about the PlayStation 4 announcements, the new Infamous game for PlayStation
Oh, yeah.
4, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Oh yeah, there's a Stargate game. I was actually one of those ones that really was interested. There was a Stargate SG1 MMO that was in development for a while, and then it just sort of floundered and then got canceled. I was looking forward to playing that. But
Mhm.
there's a new one coming out that I'm gonna play. Lego Marvel.
Yes. Yeah. As soon as I heard you guys talk about it, I got very excited.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I played the Batman, the Lego Batman 2 DC superheroes, and I was like, this is awesome, but I am so much not a DC guy. I am much more of a Marvel guy. You know, give me the
S-
Avengers, and I played like the Marvel, what were the ones? Marvel Superheroes United, whatever those games were, the
Ultimate
action
Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance, the beat 'em ups. I loved those games. And to do
Yeah,
this as a
I
Lego
love the
with my
second
kids,
one. They follow the Civil War storyline in the
yeah, the
second one. I
Civil
was
War
like,
storyline.
yes.
Yep, definitely. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not a huge comics guy. Like, I don't read comics necessarily, but I have a passing interest. So, like, I know the storyline. So, like, I knew what the Civil War storyline was about, and so I was really excited to be able to actually play through that. I think that topic is probably a little bit heavy for the Lego game, so I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
do that. But still, those characters are the ones that I much prefer. You know, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Avengers, like all those guys are the ones that I would much rather be playing versus Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. So
Yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
so psyched when they announced that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to the Injustice game. It looks pretty good. The Gods Among Us. Um,
Mm,
uh, I really enjoyed the Mortal Kombat reboot. But I hated the Mortal Kombat versus DC. So I'm kind of
yeah.
seeing what Ed Boon does with the kind of combining the two.
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of have an opinion on it?
Not specifically on this. I did love Mortal. I have always been a big Mortal Kombat guy. I mean, in the sort of world of like Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat, I've always been more of the Mortal Kombat side.
Sure.
I played all of them up to Deception, I want to
Okay.
say, and I did play Mortal Kombat versus DC, and I also disagree. I agree with you that it was not all that it could have been, unfortunately. But yeah, it will be interesting to see, you know, because that seems in a lot of ways, I think it feels like a franchise that has kind of run its course. And I don't know if it's one of those things where, like, you know, because, like, for instance, rhythm games, okay? Rhythm games have run their course. I still play them a little bit. I don't know if that's because they oversaturated the market and just ruined it, or if it was just that was something that was really fun for a period of time, but it really was a fad and now it's just going away. You know, I just read that Rock Band has just announced that they're going to stop doing new downloads, new DLC content starting in April.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's, you know, that the rhythm game genre is like kind of done. I don't think the fighting game genre is done, but I don't know. I feel like it's not compelling to me anymore. So maybe it's because I'm getting older, but you know, I'll be watching to see what he does with it, but I don't know if I'll actually play it. So.
Okay, well, very cool. All right, I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. I know you got a kind of busy schedule going on right now. So thanks a lot for taking the time, sitting down, talking with us and everything. So the GAME.minder Expo is going on March 16th in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. And you know, I don't have any illusions that people are going to fly in from all over the country to see us. That's not really what this event was about. Maybe in the future it'll be a destination. You know, a lot of the reason why we picked that date, you know, it's March 16th. It's literally like 1 week before PAX, a week and a half before GDC. You know, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people that are going to cancel their plans to go out to the coasts to come to Cleveland. But a lot of the people in Cleveland are not going out to the coast. So I really wanted to have it be pretty close to that time. So it's like, okay, well, you're not going to PAX, you're not going to GDC, but you still want to get together and enjoy this sort of concept of gaming and whatever. Let's do one in Cleveland for a couple hundred folks and just sort of have a good time. So yeah, it's probably going to go, like I said, from around noon on Saturday the 16th until around 10 o'clock. We're capping it off with the movie. And, you know, it should be pretty fun. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some good times, I think.
There you go. Sounds awesome. So you can get the GAME.minder app on both Android and iOS, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So, Jeremy, once again, thanks again for taking the time talking to us today. Really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Yep. Thank you.